Is Kanye's new music video, Eazy, a direct threat against Pete Davidson? Is he alluding to inflicting serious bodily harm, or is it art? Or do the new episodes from the Jeen-Yuhs documentary really give us a hint of what's going on in Kanye's mind? And what are the implications for Kanye's professed faith in Jesus?
Ruslan.
On this video, I'm gonna give you guys my thoughts on the new music video that Kanye put out with The Game for his song Eazy, and also give you guys my reactions to the Jeen-Yuhs documentary, which I think actually ties it all together. If you guys didn't see part 1 of the Jeen-Yuhs documentary, my reaction to it, you can go watch it. It was very aspirational, and then I kind of led at the end with the question of, can someone become this successful and maintain a degree of normalcy? And part 2 and 3 answers that question. So I'm gonna get here in a minute, and then we're gonna talk about what may be happening psychologically with Kanye and the misdiagnosis that possibly happened from a doctor. This is all speculation, we don't know for sure. And how does all of this implicate his faith? Remember, he made a pretty bold profession of faith in 2019 when he had the Jesus King reign and the whole thing with the Sunday Service Choir. I've been to multiple Sunday Service events, so we're going to be talking about all of that. And I am not a fan of The Game. I think he's one of the messiest, goofiest people out there, and Kanye connecting with him for this song Eazy. First of all, I didn't even think the song was that interesting. I thought the song was kind of trash. But then the music video is where it's like, whoa, buddy, like it comes off very toxic, very potentially threatening, and I just think it was uncalled for, especially for someone that has some sort of profession of faith. I think he's way out of pocket, as he's been for the last couple of months, and I'm gonna talk about why that is, because if you watch the Jeen-Yuhs documentary, you see the opening of the documentary, very organic backstory. Kanye's this, kid from Chicago, the underdog, making his way up. And then even in that, he starts using the word narcissistic, right? That word kind of bleeds out. And then episode 2, you kind of start seeing him having this like chip on his shoulder of like, nobody wants to take him seriously as a rapper. They only want beats from him. They only want to be a producer. And there's this like chip on his shoulder developing. And then you get into episode 2, which the guy who's with him from the beginning, KD, the director of this documentary, who by the way did a fantastic job on this, basically Kanye tells him out of nowhere, like, hey, the Jesus Walks video, I'm gonna need a Hype Williams to do that. Like, kind of awesome, like, look, I've made it to this status, now I need a Hype Williams video. And KD like doesn't push back, doesn't say anything. And again, this is very telling for where I think his head is, and I'm gonna show you guys a doctor that kind of explains this in a second. And KD goes, man, listen, whatever you want to do. And Kanye keeps like, it's like this weird interaction. And then KD says, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna get Hype Williams to direct the video. You're not gonna like how it turns out, and then you're gonna call me and we're gonna go back to Chicago and I'm gonna redo the video. Sure enough, Kanye kind of curves KD. KD doesn't do the videos as Kanye's blowing up, and the whole video comes back around. KD gets the call, we need you to come out. Kanye doesn't like it, and he doesn't, and then Kanye likes it. So like, it's like these little hints that are all throughout it. And as the story kind of goes on, the people that were day ones for Ye all kind of move to the background. It's very interesting. And then Kanye, towards episode 2, starts kind of showing more of this like rock star persona. And KD wants to show the documentary, and Kanye tells him, hey, I'm not ready to show the world who I really am. Very telling. Okay, episode 3 is by far the most heartbreaking of the Jeen-Yuhs documentary, which I think exactly exemplifies where Ye is right now. Episode 3 opens up with Ye losing his mom, devastating. Then Kanye transitioning into becoming even a bigger megastar. Him and KD not talking anymore. They go 8 years without interacting. Remember, this is somebody that's been with Ye, known Ye since 98, been with him since like 2001, before he was booming, shooting documentary in his life, and they just stopped talking. No fallout, no argument. They just stopped talking. They rekindle. Ye's acting really weird, calling KD by the wrong names. It's like real awkward sense, in the conversation. And it keeps going on. And then it picks up right around when Kanye has his mental breakdown. It seems like Ye wants some good people around him. KD's back in the mix. It seems really hopeful. It crescendos to this part of Kanye and Cootie sitting in the car, and Cootie, and I don't know how solid Cootie is with the Lord. I don't know his faith in Jesus like that, but from all measurable accounts, he seems to make a profession of faith off the documentary and in the documentary. And in the documentary is one part where Cootie's like sharing God with him. He's not saying like, you need to repent and give your life to Jesus, but he's like, you need to consider God in these situations. You need to think about it. And Ye, who just had a mental breakdown, is thinking about it, processing it. And then like fast forward a couple minutes later, Jesus is King starts. That whole era starts. Kanye is clear-headed. He doesn't seem as vain. He doesn't seem as consumed with himself. And things seem to be good. And Cootie even in the document goes, I wish the story could have ended here. Like the story should have ended here. I thought it was done. And then the whole thing takes a twist with the presidential run. And you basically see these glimpses of Kanye just totally revving up on people and acting bizarre. I mean, it's just some really sad parts in the documentary where Cootie keeps repeatedly just saying, I had to turn the camera off, and the camera turns off because of the stuff he was saying. I mean, it's really telling and gives you a glimpse inside of his head. And the documentary basically, to me guys, I mean, artistically it was beautiful, but at the end of the documentary, it leaves in this place, and remember, the documentary is called Jeen-Yuhs, where Cootie basically goes, man, Kanye's just Kanye. I'm around and I tried to encourage him and speak life into him when I can, but we need to pray for our brother Kanye. And the whole series ends with Cootie praying for Kanye, and then I think this little subtle twist, which he says something to the extent of, Father, give us your genius. The genius in the documentary is kind of misspelled. The twist becomes, hey, Father, give us your genius, as he's praying for Kanye. That's how the documentary ends. Cliffhanger, super sad, like, or at least I was sad because I was like, man, this fool is pretty far gone. This is another example of somebody making it to the tops of the world and kind of losing themselves, or the darkness of who they are being amplified for everybody. And it was really like sad, man. It was really sad because I think it shows you where his head is at. And so I want to show you guys two clips. One is going to talk about the potential psychology side of it and from an actual psychologist. And then two, I'm going to show you guys what this means for Kanye's faith. So here's the first part. This is a doctor I follow, Dr. Todd Grande, and he talks about, are these episodes of bipolar or is there something else going on?
There's no way to know for sure about Kanye's specific circumstances, but in general, bipolar disorder would not lead to the behavior that Kanye West is exhibiting. If bipolar disorder is not causing his actions, what could be causing them?
What could be causing it? He's going to tell you what he thinks it is.
One option would be that Kanye West has personality characteristics consistent with a victim narcissist. He is resentful, vengeful, insecure, and blames everyone else for the problems that he has caused. He believes that his rights are more important than the rights of others. He has a sense of entitlement and is arrogant. Because of his celebrity status, Kanye West has been able to get away with doing things that other people could not get away with. Perhaps he has used his money and power to surround himself with people who do not impose limits on him. Regardless of what's causing Kanye's behavior, it is unacceptable and harmful. He continues to gain notoriety, function as a terrible role model for fans, and destroy his already awful reputation.
A psychologist saying, hey, this is probably not indicative of bipolar disorder. This is probably a victim narcissism. There's two types of narcissism. One is I'm delusional, grandiose narcissism, and then there's victim narcissism, where you have a chip on your shoulder, you think you're the center of the universe, and you think everybody's out to get you. So he's saying Kanye is exhibiting symptoms of victim narcissism, and if you go back to the very beginning of episode 1, Jeen-Yuhs, there is this chip on his shoulder of people won't take me seriously as a rapper. People won't right? And it kind of crescendos and gets bigger and more manifested as the story and the narrative goes on. What the spiritual implications, my man John McCrae put up a video that is called Kanye, a Bad Disciple, and listen to where he kind of takes this and where I think ultimately our hearts should be for this entire situation.
Some Christians might not agree, but I do believe that it's possible for a person to be saved and to backslide or to be worldly or to live in ways that are contrary to their faith. I believe this because Paul talks about people like this and he writes letters to them in places like 1 Corinthians 3 or 1 Thessalonians 5 and so on. Of course, I have no idea.
So John McCrae says, I think it is possible for somebody to have a real encounter with Jesus, but still remain backslid or slide into a dark season, slide into a rough time. And he says it's based on, and you guys, this is extra credit points. You guys go read this on your own. Extra credit points. 1 Corinthians chapter 3. You could even jump into chapter 5, but 1 Corinthians chapter 3 is talking, Paul's talking, hey, I'm writing these church of Corinthians. You guys are worldly. So there's a whole book in the scriptures written to a worldly church. And that's what John McCrae is alluding to. And then listen to the rest of what he says.
if Kanye is saved or not. That's between him and God. But the point that I'm trying to make here is that by looking at Kanye, he's like a mirror that should help us to look at ourselves. If we
Kanye is like a mirror that should help us look at ourselves. Listen to this.
call ourselves disciples, then we have to realize that being a disciple is hard work. It's not like salvation where we're saved by the life that Jesus lived. Being a disciple is based on the life that we live. It means that we have to deny ourselves and strive to put God first if we want to consider ourselves to be disciples of Jesus. It means that we need to be striving to deny ourselves and put God first. Now, that doesn't mean perfection, of course, but it does mean that we should be conscious of the effect that our lives and our actions have on how the world sees and understands Christ. If we do want to be his disciples, then we need to not insist on our own way, but to live our lives as living sacrifices.
So I think that totally sums it up. Hey, there's grace. However, you're way out of pocket, my brother. Totally outside the bounds of how you win your wife back, how you win your family back, and how you behave. And it's indicative of how I think a lot of people could be with that limitless amount of power, access to excess, and some of those dark things that we haven't went through. With the psychological side of this, if Kanye was misdiagnosed with bipolar, that could have some serious ramifications, because that means he might went taking medication, which in the documentary shows that he was on he says he was on medication, that he went through medication that could have maybe even made the narcissism worse. So this whole thing is heartbreaking. I think the heart for followers of Jesus here is to pray for Kanye and to not be okay if you start exhibiting some of the same things, and make sure you stay on the path of actively pursuing to be a disciple of Jesus, which is to lay down your life, pick up your cross, and follow Jesus. And I'm still praying for Kanye. Me and him follow each other on Instagram. I've shot him messages to my Christian therapist. And speaking of which, if you guys want to check out, I have a free course at mastermyhabits.com with my Christian therapist, Dr. Rudy. If you're struggling with sin, addictive natures, those sorts of things, we put together a free course, completely free course for you guys at mastermyhabits.com. Link is in the description. All right. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Yo, thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Be sure to check out the links in the description for some free resources, including a Master My Devo course and that Master My Habits course I told you I put together with my Christian therapist, Dr. Rudy. Also, be sure to check out some of these other videos recommended from me and YouTube to you. All right? Peace.